Becoming your higher self is one of the most soul-fulfilling things you can do in your lifetime. And there is a reason that I continue to say that. Who is your higher self? What is your higher self? If you aren't operating as your higher self now, then what are you currently operating as? I'm going to answer all of these questions and I'm going to explain to you how to align with your higher self and what exactly that means and what it means to become your higher self. Who is your higher self? Why is aligning with your higher self one of the most soul-fulfilling things you can do in your life? What does becoming your higher self actually entail? And so there are two ways that I like to describe the higher self. The first way being your higher self is you. Of course, both versions are you, but you, in the first way I describe it, is you operating at your highest potential. You operating without any self-sabotage, you accomplishing the goals that you set out for yourself, you being able to wake up and do your routine and operate as the best that you possibly can, the best version of you. She has the lifestyle that she wants, she has discipline, she does the things that she says that she is going to do, and externally she's doing everything that she's supposed to be doing. She has the money, etc. She's you operating at your highest potential. Then there is your soul-aligned higher self. This is you operating out of no fear and in alignment with your soul's purpose. This isn't a version of you that just looks like successful on the outside and like she has this routine going and money and, you know, a nice fit body or anything like that. She is you operating through her soul's mission and soul's purpose. Your higher self radiates your innermost authentic version of you that is aligned with her spiritual mission, that is operating out of love and not fear. There's no fear from the exterior world that things are or aren't going to work out. She is in alignment. Your soul aligned higher self is in alignment with your intuition. She has a strong intuition and is embodying her intuition and her purest energy. Your soul aligned higher self is operating through remembering her absolute divinity, okay? Not from all of the programming from the exterior world, from parents with limiting beliefs, and all of these things that have been injected into her operating system, into her mind when she incarnated on this planet. It is you operating knowing that you are absolutely divine and that you came here not just for no reason, but with a purpose. And I feel like it's very important to distinguish these two different ways to look at the higher self, because you can look like your higher self, okay? There are many people in this world that look like their higher selves. They look like they're doing good very well on the exterior and they have the discipline and like they're operating as that first version at their highest potential. But that doesn't mean that they're fulfilled in their soul or in alignment with their soul purpose or soul mission. And so let's use an example. Let's use, I guess we can use Lila. Okay, that's just a made up person, made up name. Lila is a heart surgeon. She's very successful. She's a heart surgeon. She lives in a beautiful high-rise apartment and she has maids. She has luxury in her life. She's very accomplished. She has many accomplishments. She has a nice car. She has a nice body. And she even is also on the side like an influencer. She posts about being an influencer. And so she gets a bunch of brand deals and like PR packages. And so what does that mean? She's extremely successful, but does that mean that she's operating as her higher self? Not necessarily. Why did she become a heart surgeon? Because her parents are heart surgeons and they told her that the only way that she will be successful is if she also becomes a heart surgeon or a doctor of some sort or a surgeon of some sort. And so she grew up with this idea that if she did not become a surgeon, that she was not going to be successful. Is that true? No, that's a limiting belief. You can be successful doing thousands and thousands of different things. She's seen this firsthand because she's an influencer part-time. And so she's seen how much money like an influencer can make with all of these brand deals and such and such. And so she realizes that she can actually, if she put all of her heart and time into it, be a full-time influencer. She doesn't even need to be a surgeon to be successful, but she's dealing with this internal battle where she doesn't know what to do because she realized that she can have success, but she has a lot of fear. She has fear of telling her parents that she doesn't really care to be a surgeon, that she doesn't really love it. A piece of her soul feels so disappointed every time she wakes up in the morning and goes to fulfill her duties and obligations as a surgeon at the hospital, because that's not what she genuinely wants to do. Her soul does not genuinely want to be a surgeon. She only did that out of fear. When you're moving out of fear, you are not in alignment with your divinity. You are not in alignment with your soul aligned higher self, because your soul aligned higher self knows that she can be successful doing anything that she truly wants to do, because the universe will put things and align things into place for her to accomplish what it is that she set her heart out to do. She also has dreams of opening a bakery in a major city like New York or LA or Miami or something. She wants to have this major bakery because she also has like a little passion for baking, but she is extremely scared of what her parents think, about what society says about what you're supposed to do to be successful, that people are going to say, how silly is she? How are you going from being a whole heart surgeon and you did all this work and you went to all this school and you did all this to do something that she's scared that people are going to be like, you became a heart surgeon and you're going to throw that away to be an influencer and to open a bakery? That's nonsense. That's ridiculous. But what would your higher self do? If your higher self, a huge part of you, has this passion for creating videos, for baking, for being an entrepreneur and opening your own bakery, baking, doing the things that you love. What is everybody going to say if I throw all of that away? If the Lila throws all of that away, what is society going to say? What are Lila's parents going to say to her? What is everyone going to think? Is that Lila operating as her soul aligned higher self, knowing that she came here to be an entrepreneur? She came here to do specific things. That's why her heart is currently tugged towards it. And that's why her heart feels very sad every time she does something that fulfills and appeases other people, or that only builds her ego up. It sounds nice to say that she's a surgeon, but it doesn't fulfill her. If she wanted to align with her higher self, she would have to face her fear of what other people are going to think. She would have to take a risk and know that no matter what happens, she would be happier doing the thing that she wants to do versus appeasing other people. To fulfill her soul, to complete her mission, to live in alignment with her higher self, she would have to choose herself. She would have to choose operating not out of fear, not out of judgment, not out of worry. Those are all very low feelings that nobody wants to feel, versus feeling free, doing whatever she wants, regardless of what other people think. You've heard it so many times from so many different angles, celebrities, influencers, or just rich and wealthy people saying that money doesn't buy happiness. And why is that? Because that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be operating in alignment with your higher self just because you have things in your 3D exterior, okay? I like to blend both. I like to understand that obviously if I'm attracted and love nice, beautiful things, I love living in a nice luxury building, I love having nice, beautiful jewelry, I love being able to eat out whenever I want, and I have a taste for the nicer things in life, that doesn't mean that I'm not operating in alignment with my higher self, but choosing a way to get there that aligns with your higher self is the key. You can be both. You can have both. You want to get up and be healthy and exercise, etc., but you don't want to do it because of other people and because of what other people think. You want to do it because your higher self genuinely is interested in those things. You don't have to force yourself to be a Pilates girl if you genuinely don't like it, if you think that that's what it takes to be your higher self. You can train and do whatever it is that you want to be healthy. You don't have to study a certain career. You don't have to do certain things that society, your parents, or whoever implements those seeds and ideas and beliefs in your mind, that you have to do and fulfill those things in order to get the thing that you want. That's why so many people are getting the job they've always wanted, having the amount of money they've always wanted, getting to the places they've always wanted to be, and feeling empty because other people told them that that was supposed to make them feel good. It isn't what actually makes them feel happy. And so, how are you going to align? How are you going to blend these things? How are you going to appease the part of you that has things to do in the exterior. Okay, you need to wake up early, you need to do all these things, you need to operate as your highest potential to prove to yourself and to have the discipline that you know that you can do it. And also align with your soul aligned higher self. How are you going to be on your spiritual mission and path and block out the noise of what other people think, of what your own beliefs are that you may have told yourself that you won't be successful, you won't be happy or fulfilled if you don't have certain things. How are you going to align with your higher self? If you are not currently operating as your higher self, then what are you operating as? You're probably operating as your familiar self. That is the version of you that repeats old patterns, parts of you that choose to stay in survival mode, that self-sabotage, that just do everything that you usually do because it's very familiar and very comfortable. You might stay loyal to the identity that you already currently have. The idea of doing anything different is you feel very blocked from it, and that is because of your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind's job is to keep you familiar. Its job is not to change you and have you go out and venture new things. That actually thinks that is horrible for you. Your subconscious mind wants you to stay in the known because in the known, that is where you're safe. Familiarity is safe, even if it's something that you don't want to be, even if you want to go out and be fit and chase your dreams and block out fear, that fear exists there. And so you would have to get to the root cause of that fear. And I have a whole video on that, about self-sabotage, about the subconscious mind, and so I will link that in the description. This version of you, this familiar version of you, is not a bad version of you. It's just familiar, and it might not be in alignment with who you want to be, which is your higher self. You operating at your highest potential, and you operating out of your soul's mission and soul's purpose, and remembering that you are absolutely divine. You are a divine being. Just you living, breathing, and existing is insane to think about. Like, we're on a floating rock in outer space, in a solar system that is massive in this universe. The fact that you exist and are watching this video is crazy when you actually think about it. It's insane. It's hard to even conceptualize. So how do you go from wanting to becoming and aligning with your higher self? Obviously, it starts with identity work. I've talked a ton about this already, and I will leave the most relevant videos going over identity work in the description. But you have to choose and kind of write down what is the identity that you currently have, and what is your higher self's identity. How do you perceive, with no fear, thinking as big as you want to, and really tapping into your heart center, what your higher self and who your higher self is. Identifying what those two identities are and what the gap is. What is it that you're missing? What is it that you keep repeating? What is it that you keep doing over and over again that keeps you as the familiar versus your higher self? This is really good to establish on physical, on paper, and look at and analyze your life, but it is not enough to do the identity work alone. You would have to get into your psyche. One of the most important things to remember when you are trying to align with your higher self, when you're trying to transform into a new identity, is understanding that your higher self already exists. Your higher self already exists. In quantum terms, time is not linear. Every version of you already exists as a possibility. And so if there is a version of you that you keep trying to become, you're trying to become her because she already exists. All you have to do is align to her energy in order to embody her identity. Your higher self is not someone that exists outside of you somewhere in the future, and that you have to work really hard and build yourself up to be her and chase her into the future. So long as you put your higher self in the future, there will always be this gap and this separation, this chasing. You will always be chasing being like your higher self instead of aligning with your higher self. Your higher self is an energy. Everything is energy. We know that E equals MC squared. Everything is energy. And so if everything is energy, she is an energy. If time is not linear, then she already exists, not over here while you're over here, but in a higher energy, okay, your higher self. And so how do you align with this energy? Remembering firstly that she does not exist outside of you in the future. The future, the only moment that you could ever experience in your entire life is the present moment. I can make an entire other video talking about this. The present moment is the only moment that you can ever exist in. Even the rest of this video that has gone by, that is already in the past. When you woke up this morning, that's already the past. Everything that you've ever experienced is already the past. The only moment that you can ever continue to be is in the moment right now. Even something that you desire in the future, when you get to that point in the future, you're going to be experiencing it in the present moment. And then when it passes, it's in the past. Let's make that very clear. And so if you want to align with your higher self, you have to think of her as an energy that already exists and align with her energy by thinking the thoughts that she would think and doing that in the present moment. I want you to think of your higher self as an iPhone, right? When a new iPhone comes out, there is an updated software, right? And major software updates. And so, do you have to throw away your current phone in order to get the new capabilities of the newer iPhone? No, you just have to update your software. So, say your higher self is like iOS, is what are we on? Like iOS 26. Say your higher self's energy is on iOS 26. You're on iOS 16, right? Let's just say you're on iOS 16. Okay, you're a few updates behind. You don't need to throw away your phone and get a new phone to align to her energy. You would have to update your software. Everything that she does, you can do if you were to just update your software. You were both an iPhone. You just need to update the software. It doesn't have to be an iPhone, whatever, on your computer, on your Android, on whatever device that requires the software updates. You're not going to be able to open your phone no matter how many times you open your phone and look for the capabilities that are in iOS 26. You're not going to be able to do it because you haven't updated your software to be able to do so. And so when you elevate your energy and align to that energy, when you do your software update up here and here and here in your heart center, you're going to be able to embody your higher self's energy. And when you embody her energy, your outer world bends to your inner reality, and then you are able to align with that energy because now you're updated to that software. It's not about getting a new phone, throwing away the phone, getting a whole new device to be able to have the capabilities. As soon as you update that software, you get all the cool features too, unless obviously there are things that are in new phones, that like hardware and such that are changed that you're not going to have magically on your phone. But you get the point that I'm trying to make. What you may be doing in your life is thinking that you have to work really hard to become your higher self. Once you align with her energy, doing everything else in the physical becomes light work. It becomes easier to do for you because there's no resistance. Your familiar self most likely lives in the past or in the future. Living in the past constantly affirms your current identity. Your mind is pulling things and experiences from the past and bringing them up as memories, and you're focusing on it, and that reinforces you being exactly the same. If you were living in the future and constantly putting your desires in the future, when I get this thing, I'll be happy. When I get this certain body, I'll be happy. You're constantly putting your higher self in the future as something that you don't have yet. And so you're in this lack energy. You don't feel her energy because you're waiting to have the thing in the future to be able to experience the emotions and the energy that would have you in alignment with your higher self. And so that is why being present is so important, because when you're being present, you can choose the emotions that your higher self would choose, and thus you would be in alignment with your higher self's energy. Your higher self is you with a Mercedes, right? You have this nice car or this your dream body or whatever. You wouldn't wait until you have that dream body to experience the emotion. That's very Newtonian. You would be very linear, very time-based. Versus quantumly, you would be aligning with your higher self by already feeling the energy of love for the body that you do have in the present moment. You would be feeling gratitude and happiness for that. That's why practicing gratitude is so important. Ways that you can connect to your higher self, and ways that I most definitely felt connection to my higher self, is through meditation. When you meditate, you couldn't be any more in the present moment if you tried. You are sitting down in your breath. You are not thinking in the future. You're not thinking in the past. You are thinking in the right now. And in the right now is where you can access your subconscious mind and change things in there so that you are thinking the thoughts that align with your higher self. This opens up the channel for your higher self. If you're not thinking in either of those places and you're sitting in stillness and your brain waves are moving out of alpha and moving into theta or deeper, slower brain wave states, you will be able to reprogram your mind, update your software, and align with your higher self's energy. And then your reality would change and bend to that energy change. Because like attracts like with energy. You need your birth time, birthday, birthplace to pull up your astrological birth chart and look at your birth chart. Your birth chart is like the cheat code. It is like the soul map of what your soul is doing, why you came here, part of your purpose, giving you notes on your past life, what things you're already comfortable doing, things that you need to learn and accomplish in this lifetime that makes doing that soul aligned version of your higher self so much easier. Not just any one placement, but the popular placement that people say to look at when it comes to analyzing your birth chart is your north node, okay? A kind of like a mission, a purpose, a direction that your soul is on in this lifetime. And understanding that, analyzing your birth chart, understanding the way your core, your sun, the way you communicate, the way you take action, your north node, your south node, so many other little things, because astrology has just about thousands and thousands of layers, I feel like. But understanding the basics, at least beginning with your birth chart and the way that you're thinking and helping you read what is essentially like a soul map for you is going to be so helpful for you, aligning with your soul aligned version of your higher self. And then, of course, aligning with your higher self would take you taking aligned action using the present moment when you are faced with something. For example, your alarm clock rings in the morning. Take the action that your higher self would take. That is so much easier than doing what your familiar self would do. Your familiar self would hit snooze and go back to sleep and tell yourself that you deserve sleep, that you didn't get enough sleep last night, that you'll sleep earlier tonight so that you can make up for the lost sleep. Your familiar self would snooze. Your higher self would stop the alarm, wake up, get out of bed, start her day. Start choosing the aligned small things that your higher self would do in the present moment, and that will put you closer in alignment to her. And the more you do that, the more it becomes a habit of being your higher self. And so that is the distinction, that is the explanation of your higher self. I can go deeper and deeper and deeper into talking about your higher self. That is what this entire channel is about, essentially. And so I'm going to be talking about it more. But that is all I have for this video, as just a short kind of explanation on who your higher self is and what the point of aligning with her is. And that is all I have for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.